Edge of the area, Almaguer enters the area. Philadelphia able to limit the damage. For now it's Perez with options in the middle. Perez end line squares it back. Almaguer to Lynn. Lynn lays it off. Saved by Rick and cleared out for a corner. Zachariah Taifi had the opportunity. Another big save by Rick. Reactionary save with his right leg. From the corner, curled in short.
Orlando City B substitution. Leading the match, number 57, Christopher Acuna. Entering the match, number 14, Abdul Mohammed.
Abdul Mohammed comes in for Christopher Acuna. Terrific day to begin the season for Christopher Acuna, the 19-year-old who came over this offseason from Uruguay. And the second goal of the match, which currently is holding up as the winner. And even if Philly were to get one back, he would then have the assist on what would then be the winning goal, as he had the service to Jack Lynn to make it 3-1. Approaching the 70-minute mark here at Subaru Park in Chester, Pennsylvania. Joe Malfa with you for today's action as Orlando City B opens the season against Philadelphia Union 2, and the home side is about to have a free kick in a dangerous area as Juninho committed the hard foul and picks up a yellow card to boot. How did we get here? It all started fast and furious 5 minutes in. Abdul Salim, a header off the corner to make it 1-0 Orlando, and then just 12 minutes later, Christopher Acuna would go ahead and make it 2-0. Orlando controlled the early portions of the game, but Philadelphia had a strong 15 minutes to close out the first half. Started with CJ Olney scoring in the 30th minute. Went into the break at 2-1, but then early in this second half, officially went down in the 60th minute. Jack Lynn off the bench onto the score sheet, 2022 best 11 striker in MLS Next Pro. Subbed on at the half, and he made his impacts felt to get us to 3-1. Philadelphia looking to get one back here. A one-goal game again. Riasco settles. Seemed like he was thinking about the volley. Still with it now, and earns a corner. Well done by Jose Riasco. Don't know if a volley would have been the best choice there, as that ball was coming down. Too many bodies to work it through, so he earned himself a corner. And Zachariah Taifi earned himself a yellow card for something he said in the aftermath. Pardon me, that was Alejandro Granados with the yellow. CJ Olney from the corner. Rolls it in, top of the 6, headed away by Salim. Olney, secondary service. It gets behind the keeper, saved off the line by Salim. Pardon me, that was his center back partner, Nabi Kibunguchi, who made that last-ditch effort there by the post. And he paid for it. Another Philadelphia corner coming. Olney to Sorensen. Sorensen lost it as he tried to push it past Imanol Almaguer. Sorensen again from the corner. Drives it to the backside of the 6, over everybody. Riasco has to hustle to keep it in, unable to do so. This portion of the match is brought to you by Subaru of America. Westfield splits it through to Pierre, who's had a quiet second half. Back out to Westfield, good spot. He stumbled over a patch of the grass, recovers. Back to Westfield, options abound. Centrally, Riasco's header goes wide. Was deflected, out for a corner. Taken quickly by Sorensen to Olney. CJ Olney couldn't get it past that first defender. Jack Lynn working back defensively to help out. Now Sorensen. It's Olney driving it low. And that was out for another corner for Philadelphia. They're committing everything forward here, pressing to find that goal to bring it back within one. Orlando is holding strong. Whipped in from the corner, and again it's Jack Lynn heading it away. Sorensen knocks it back into the mixer. Riasco tried to give it and go with Westfield, still with it. Westfield skied it in the end on his less preferred left foot. Two more changes coming now for Philadelphia. That'll be it for Mike Viero.
In the match, number 38, Mikey Bolero. Entering the match, number 36, Pedro Alvarez. Union 2 substitution. Leaving the match, number 52, Boubacar Diallo. Entering the match, number 45, Nole Ulamana. Substitutions occur in the 74th minute.
Ulamana in for Diallo. Alvarez in for Viero. A swap of both defensive midfielders here for Philadelphia. John Solis for Perez. Orlando possessing with this 2-goal lead. We haven't seen them own much of the ball in this second half. Elsewhere, it is still 1-1 between Charlotte and Huntsville. Pierre waited a little bit too long as he tried to slip it through to Olney. Realized he was offside. Just held on to it. Now a chance to break out here for Juninho. Has Jack Lynn ahead of him. Still the Brazilian Juninho. Abdul Mohamed subbed on a few moments ago for Orlando. Solis, patient, back for Perez. Quarter of an hour remains now in Chester. Something to keep in mind as you go through the early portions of this season before it becomes second nature. On substitutions, as they occur throughout a match, there is also a new rule on the timed substitution here in MLS Next Pro. Any player being substituted off the field has a maximum of 10 seconds to leave the field to play. If he exceeds that, the player coming on has to wait at least a minute to come onto the field at the referee's discretion. So you gotta make sure you get off to the nearest boundary. Otherwise, 10 seconds can cost your team a minute down to 10 men. Uemana. First to the loose ball is Stojanovic. Now Sorensen. Back to Stojanovic. Sorensen tried to put it back one time too many. It was read well by Zachariah Taifi. Now Stojanovic over the top. Centered by Pierre. Nobody in that middle portion of the 18 for Philadelphia. Huntsville just made it 2-1 in their match. This Orlando team is very comfortable playing in tight quarters. Mohamed dances past. Devin Stopek who overcommitted. Tahir Reed-Brown getting ready to check in for Orlando. As the foul is committed by John Solis, and a yellow card issued as well.
Orlando City B substitution. Leaving the match, number 59, Alejandro Granados. Entering the match,
Granados had a solid day, roaming the center of the park.
Substitution.
The youngest players on this roster for Orlando. Played most of the season last year. 15-year-old. 16 now. Turned 17 in early summer. Hustled down that wing by Perez, knocking that out for a throw-in instead of a corner, taken quickly by Philly. Uemana to the end line. Uemana cuts it back. Orlando has done a great job of getting bodies into the box defensively. They took the lead. So many of those chances from out wide by Philadelphia have come in like that on the ground, but no way to get it through that wall of players. Juninho hits one over the top into the path of Taifi. Taifi battling, wins it. Taifi just misses wide. A late decision for a foul call against Taifi. So it wouldn't have mattered in the end. That's a terrific ball from Juninho. 60, 70 yards on the diagonal into the path of Taifi. Uimana. This portion of the match is brought to you by WSFS Bank. Pierre, heavy touch, well read by Nabi Kibanguchi. The center back continues his run ahead. Taken down by Pedro Alvarez. Mohamed. Out to Taifi, back to Mohamed. Taifi continues his run inside. Mohamed never spotted him. Here's Olney. CJ Olney tried to send it in early to Riasco. Hasn't quite yet begun his run. The Moreland LeBlanc-led Philadelphia Union 2 team that we've come to know will regroup quickly from this one. If it does turn out to be a loss, they still have some time to come back, but it's wearing thin. Time and time again, last year we saw them bounce back unfazed. However, it was sent their way as Pierre crashes in. It's part of the benefit of getting these young players so much time so early in their careers in the season. As that adversity hits, they get more and more accustomed to it. Luciano Sanchez getting ready to check in for Philadelphia. Told at the moment it'll be for Evan Stoppage. Whenever they decide to pull the trigger. Of course, the attention goes to Javier Otero. Goalkeepers, of course, an exception to that rule about having to leave the field if you're down for a lengthy period of time. Bit of a numbers crunch for all teams around the league this weekend. Alluded to it briefly in the first half as it pertained to Philly at the goalkeeper position because of the injury to Andre Blake with the first team. But as the year goes along, we should see the return of a number of players come next week. So many teams missing guys in the international window. As only sends the corner to the back post. The header over the bar. Portela had a chance at it as he rose to meet it. This weekend started back in the midweek. And it extends into Tuesday. As Sanchez now does come in. Stoppage started last week into this coming week. Copycat Nations League and other competitions as well throughout Europe for Euro qualifiers and African Cup of Nations qualifiers. So as those players left their MLS first teams, of course backups stepped up into starter roles, tweeners who were maybe on the brink of that first team roster or this second team roster, squarely on the back end of the MLS roster. So all trickle-down effects, all caused by the international window. You should see more players available for these teams and all teams around the league going forward. It's a quick turnaround for Orlando. After this Sunday kickoff today, they turn around and play on Friday against Huntsville at home. Could be two teams coming off victories as of right now. Huntsville still with a lead on Charlotte. Ball played in to Riasco. First touch, took it away from his body. For Philadelphia, they will be home again a week from today, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, hosting Inter Miami CF2. Chance perhaps to regroup after what is currently looking like it'll be a season-opening loss at the hands of OCB. Philadelphia won each of the last 3 meetings between these clubs last season. But this is a new year, new look team for Orlando. Touched on it a bit earlier this afternoon. Now all leagues turn out to be copycat leagues. Here's Lynn pressing in on Rick, and the goalkeeper is wise to it, clears it. Whether it's the NBA, the NFL, MLS, NHL, Premier League over in England, whatever the case may be, you see one team have success doing a certain thing, and all of a sudden that thing permeates the sport. Played through to Lynn, flag stays down, 1 goal already for Lynn, he chips it, and it's deflected just wide for a corner. But that thing this past year rather, was Columbus going older with their roster. They're one of the older rosters in the league. They went on to win the title in the first year of MLS Next Pro. Teams around the league took notice of that, started to sign more of those veteran players. And I'm not talking old players, late 20s, early 30s. Players who are still young, still looking for that opportunity. Players in their still early to mid-20s. A 22-year-old Imanol Almaguer, for example, who's been around for a while. On this Orlando side, Sean Solis, 24 years of age, coming over from Colombia. Navi Kibanguchi, the 25-year-old center back, coming over from Minnesota too. Players like that are targeted by teams like Orlando. And it's so far paying dividends against a team that is electing to stay young in Philadelphia. They will not stray from that model. Firmly believe in it, and how could you not? It led them to the playoffs last year. They had 3 members of last year's Union 2 team play a role in the MLS Cup final with the first team. Jack McGlynn starting, Paxton Aronson, Chris Donovan coming in off the bench, and then Paxton Aronson now sold to Eintracht Frankfurt, just made his Bundesliga debut in the last couple of weeks. Subbed on for Mario Götze. He scored the game-winning goal for Germany in the 2014 World Cup over Argentina. Hopefully a good omen for Paxton Aronson as he takes the next step in his career after a very successful first year in MLS Next Pro. 90th minute here at Subaru Park in Chester, Pennsylvania. Orlando has had this one in hand for quite some time now. Ever since Jack Lynn came in and scored around the hour mark. Subbed on at halftime, scored at the hour mark. Ever since then, just went ahead and took control of this game, limiting the chances for Philadelphia. See more and more of that possession to push this victory over the finish line. Take something spectacular now in the closing moments plus stoppage time for Orlando to lose these 3 points.
Ladies and gentlemen, fourth official on the sideline has indicated there will be a minimum of 7 minutes of stoppage.
7 minutes tacked down to the end of this one. Seeing that 7 on the LED board of the fourth official will have to give Philadelphia some hope here. That is more than enough time to try and equalize this thing. You can get one here in the first 3 to 4 minutes of those 7 given. You never know. That pressure mounts on the opposition. Still going to be a formidable task. Seeing a 7 makes it believable. And that number have been a 3 or a 4. Much less so. Got back to Riasco on the turn. Riasco never got a shot off. And off the left hand of only. Not much he could have done there. Francis Westfield out to Anton Sorensen. Sorensen's a name who you could expect to see a lot here this year for Union 2, according to head coach Marlon LeBlanc. Sanchez cutting in. And for Sorensen, that's not necessarily a knock. He's a player who's signed to a homegrown contract. Wants to, of course, be with that first team, but he's just caught behind Kai Wagner, one of the top defenders in MLS at left back. Perennially a Defender of the Year candidate in MLS. For Sorensen, almost no matter how good he plays here with Union 2 or on the training grounds of Philadelphia, barring an injury to Wagner, almost no chance for him to crack that lineup, which bodes well for Marlon LeBlanc and this Philadelphia Union 2 side. Should be one of those guys they can count on all year long to take the lion's share of minutes. Among those names he mentioned in that group, the likes of Nelson Pierre, Stefan Stojanovic as the captain. Francis Westfield at right back, also names to round out that group who he thinks can make up a core of 4 or 5 guys who you'll see rather regularly here. Outside of that, of course, you're going to have your players who mix in and out, needing minutes from the first team, or players who are showcasing themselves well at the academy level and playing up with Union 2. Still have some of those in-between guys, like a CJ Olney, David Vasquez, who started this match tonight. Those players still on academy deals and will feature a lot for the U17s, but throughout the year, we'll see more and more time here for Union 2. They're not afraid to play those younger guys. And this right here, what you're seeing is a byproduct of that rule. Stay down too long, come off for 3 minutes if the trainers come out. So the players huddle around Juninho, trying to will him back to his feet. Can ill afford to go down to 10 men for the last 3 minutes of this game. And hold on to this 2-goal lead. That's the last thing you need to have happen. Have a guy come off due to that injury rule. Yellow card issued to Rivera. You have a guy come off the field, and the last 3 minutes, they're now trying to hold on to this lead down to 10 men. in the 94th minute. Crown Legacy just equalized with Huntsville, so we could be heading to kicks from the mark over there. Meanwhile, Orlando is just 2 minutes away from all 3 points here. And they're looking for the exclamation point.
Stoppage time of our second half.
Ahead to Rivera. Now Stojanovic will look over the shoulder. Has Sanchez running with him, looking to Riasco over his head, falls for Pierre. Nelson Pierre pinballs around, out for a corner with 90 seconds to play. From the corner, the header is saved by Otero. Westfield snapped it down to the keeper. Otero hasn't had to make a save in quite some time here in this second half. Philadelphia still only has 2 shots on goal until that made it 3. Sometimes as a goalkeeper, when you're inactive, that's when you're most susceptible to let one like that in, but made sure to make the most of his opportunity when called upon. Javier Otero. Late, strong challenge in from Pedro Alvarez. Yellow card shown. This game has seen a fair bit of chippiness between whistles. Something that may very well be stored in the memory vault by players on both these teams when they meet next. Total of 31 fouls in this game, and now 4 yellow cards aside. Only over the top, flicked on but wide. 7 minutes were given. 7 minutes have come and gone. And there is the final whistle. Orlando City B opens the 2023 campaign by taking all 3 points on the road against one of last year's Eastern Conference playoff teams in Philadelphia Union 2. Orlando able to start off really strong after finishing 1 spot out of last in 2022 in the Eastern Conference. Did it on the backs of a terrific performance by Christopher Acuna, who is today's man of the match, presented by Adidas. Acuna had a goal to make it 2-0 at the time, and then he had an assist on the Jack Lynn goal to make it 3-1. Here's a look back at his goal in the 17th minute of the match. He had a goal, he had an assist, he picked up a yellow card before he was subbed out. A full day for the 19-year-old Uruguayan. He made 14 appearances last year in Uruguay with 2 goals. Off to a stellar start for OCB. And as a team, they got off to a stellar start today, scoring just 5 minutes in. Abdi Salim got them going. A 3-1 victory to end it on this road trip to Chester, Pennsylvania. And that does it for us today. For the crew that makes this possible, I'm Joe Malfa saying so long from Subaru Park. OCB takes all 3 points. Plenty more action to come throughout the day here in MLS Next Pro.